Outside the business box. Chad Murray, business coach and consultant. This is kind of my resume, a little presentation I put in here, kind of let you know what I've done in business, what I've done good, what I've done bad, what I've learned, and how I've accomplished what I've gotten all the way since I started with meeting my wife. Met the love of my life in high school. Still married to her today. Love her more today than I ever did then. And so we'll move on to 1990. Graduated high school and joined Army National Guard. That's me. Went to basic training. Learned a lot of core values from that. 91 to 96, went to Spartan School of Aeronautics and then became a pizza corporation general manager at 21. I actually ended up getting manager of the year, one of my last years there. But at the time, I wasn't 21 to 95, but I did become a general manager when I was 21, one of the youngest that they had ever had. Did learned a lot from being in a corporation of that size, learning how to manage people, learning systems, and learning discipline that I learned from in the Army National Guard, and did a stint in the Marine Corps right after this. Then comes 1996. Started my chimney business. We had our first daughter. We also started our first chimney company, and we had a little business selling I also had a little business selling long distance business cards to gas stations. Sold that business and made pretty good profit. I would go around literally. I found a supplier of wholesale calling cards back in the 90s, early 90s, where people would call back to Mexico and Iran and things like that. And so you'd sell a $20 calling card, and people would use their landlines instead of being billed long distance. It was cheaper to do that. So I had a pretty good little business. Sold that business for around $12,000 to $15,000. I don't recall, but you know, I was like 25 years old at the time, and 24 maybe, and it was good profit. You know, money that I'd never seen before. So anyway, took that money, started up my business. We're putzing around, cleaning chimneys, and then a couple years later, we had done 3 years. We'd done 10,000 customers, 2 full-time trucks. I had a third truck running 6 months out of the year, and I had my second daughter that was born. And so we were moving pretty good, making better money than I had ever made before, having good service relationships, learning the business like you're supposed to. You know, just really that startup business, not really knowing I had a good business base from Mazio's and how to actually, with their training programs, how to take care of customers that are upset, how to deal with employees a little bit, you know, just, you know, more than your just average, you know, kid maybe coming out of college that's really either never had a job or doesn't really have the skilled training yet on how to psychology help with a person that's upset. You know, you learn that in a lot of corporate jobs, and so it was very good training for me and really paid off going through my business as I learned how to sell my services and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it come all the way to 1999 all of a sudden. So we opened our first retail store. This was back, I had a bag phone. It was before iPhones. Now I have no pictures, but a couple Polaroids of it, and I spent an hour terrorizing last night to see if I could show you a picture of what that Polaroid looked like. I could not. It's funny is I'll probably get off this the next week and we'll find those pictures. So anyway, so 99 came out, and then we have the thing with alert. So unexpected business scenarios that can happen to you. This is just a funny one that happened to us. And so back in 99, there was no technology of passwords, and you know, security was pretty lax. I mean, for smaller companies, maybe larger companies were, but my biggest competitor called and cranked my wife at our business phone number, asking a bunch of questions, just this, that, the other. She knew right away something was up, that this wasn't right, you know, and so I had heard about this gentleman, so I thought I'd call him back, and you know, and sure enough, he was drunk and just playing around, and you know, so anyway, I didn't really, you know, pay any mind to it. I didn't even curse the guy. I was just kind of like, you know, all right, you know, goodbye. Well, the next day we wake up and phones are turned off. And so we call up, where our phone service provider was, and I called that guy at like 4:30, and like 4:45, they had on record that I had called and canceled our phone number, which it was pretty easy to put, 1, 2 together to figure out it was him. So anyway, just kind of telling you, things start happening in your business that who would ever think that someone would call, get your phone number turned off, a competitor. And so you really got to start thinking, of 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 security, especially nowadays. What competitors are doing and what they, what they can do to you. Things that you never think about. Things have probably been done to more people that I haven't thought about, but with experience, you learn. And so you just kind of got to be ready for the unexpected, and we've definitely learned that through the years. So we'll go on to 99 and 2004. We just worked our thing, man. We I went to work every day. I climbed the roofs. I sold the chimney caps, did the chimney cleanings, built chimneys, did some outdoor kitchens. I was just, I had 3 employees at the time. My wife was answering the phones, and we just, we just really just had, it was kind of, if I remember, it was kind of peaceful. I had 2 kids. Things were, wasn't real expensive. Just, working it, and it's a good time in our lives. And so. It's that time where you're making enough money to just have enough to go on vacation, but not enough money to go buy 2 boats or anything. So anyway, 2004. Hold on. Here's the learning curve. Here's when the stuff hits the fan. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Number 3 was born. There she is. Okay, well, right before she was born was the bad. My wife was on bed rest for almost 9 weeks in the hospital while I ran the household of 2 daughters, a retail outlet, sales, employees, and had to visit her every day while I was doing laundry, taking them to school, picking them up from school. This is where family and friends really become precious. We did it together. It wasn't me alone. I had women making me frozen dinners and all this kind of stuff. They really stepped up, and really helped out. So, we prayed for these people. They helped us out. They prayed for us, and it was a stressful time for our family. It was what it was. But we were about to have a beautiful baby daughter. We had her. It was great. 3 weeks later, the ugly hit. It's got to be your worst nightmare. Other than me dying, the second worst nightmare. I didn't die, but I almost did. Went to the ER 7 days after appendix rupture. Thought I had the flu. And literally was on convalescence at home for about 2.5 months. So life got heavy. It was tough. But what I did is I took that time and I did some of the stuff I'm about to talk to you about to move forward. I started learning how to do my own advertising. And so we did all that. What I didn't say, I wanted to say, when we did the ugly, I want to revert back to this real quick. We had to declare bankruptcy. It was that bad, and so while we're bankrupt, luckily I had about $10,000 to our name, which was cool because in the bankruptcy they let you keep up to a certain amount. I think it was roughly 10 grand. So I was able to keep that. That was all we had, regardless. So it wasn't like a plan. So anyway, we move forward. So while I'm sitting in convalescence, not be able to work, I had a couple employees at that time that started just making the nightmare worse, and so I had to get rid of them. Brought back another buddy of mine who really saved the business saved my financial future at the time. I started up another company as soon as I could. I started learning how to SEO. I literally stuck myself, which I'll talk about this. So this is what I did while I was on convalescence for 2 months. I educated myself. I had the time to sit down and learn things that most entrepreneurs don't know. They just pay for people to do it, and they just hope that what they're paying for gets done correctly. Well, that's where I come in. I know how to tell you, if you have me, add me as a coach, if these people are doing the right thing for you. If you know they are if you're getting results. The problem is a lot of people, especially like if you hire an SEO company to make your website be on first page. Well, if your website, you're on your fourth SEO company, your website never reaches page one. Well, obviously you don't know what to tell these people or who to hire to know how to get to first page. I can put you on first page if I were to do it. Of course, that's not my business. That's not my model to do that for you. But I can tell you and teach you what to know and how to hire the right person to get you on first page. And so, also blogs. I do the SEOing on your website. The blog is huge. I learned how to do Google AdWords. I actually learned that, but prior to this all happening, which I'll talk about in a minute, I learned how to think like a millionaire. You know, I'm not a millionaire. I wasn't a millionaire. I learned how to think like one at least, and it helps. I learned how to create my own marketing material, which isn't that difficult, but learning how to do it correctly and have it be successful to have clients say yes, that's huge. And and just literally learn how to sell better than my competitors. So we'll start here with SEOing. What did I do for SEOing? Well, in the early 2000s, phone books were on their way out. But they were still the big people. They were one of the reasons why I had to file bankruptcy, was the big phone book people putting you in a contract. I don't have any contracts in my business. If they do, they're very minor for advertising, and that's huge. If I want to turn it off, turn it up, or not renew it next year because it was small, not a big deal. But I'm not stuck in any big contract I can't either get out of or can't afford. And so what I did, I was actually motivated to make sure I knew how to SEO to never have to pick another phone book ad. And back then, you didn't know that the internet was going to blow phone books out of the water. You had no idea. And so it was starting to glimmer where you're going to see no more phone books. But advertising for service business was still all about the phone book. Well, I'd already learned Google, which I'll talk to you about in a little bit. That was starting to make a big difference. So anyway, I was able to seriously set myself to an SEO online school for 2 months and implement it while I went to that school on my new website. 3 months later, I'm on first page for Chimney Company in Dallas, Fort Worth. And so I learned how to do that. But I know how to tell you how to do that. Part of that SEOing is being a blog writer extraordinaire. And here's another thing. It's also not about you writing. You can hire people to write for you, but you got to know what they need to write about and what to say that has pertaining to your business. So that's where I come in to making sure you know how to blog, make sure that the linking's done right, the writing's done correctly. It's a very simple couple little things you learn how to do, and boom, you start getting people writing blogs for you. You start getting on first page for better and more things that you do. So going over to Google AdWords, I was fortunate back in '99, a few years before all this happened to me, and one of the reasons I was able to profit to go into 3 employees and to be able to not even skip a beat with a new website was at the time when Google had just come out, they were calling people, and that was great because they called me, they solicited me and taught me, helped me set up my first Google campaigns, taught me how to manage it. So now all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm managing it. What was great about advertising with AdWords was you got to pick your own keywords and things, different things you wanted to, self-specialize in, and find yourself on the internet for that, which is great still to this day. But I had no contract. Thing that Google was saying, you can turn it up, off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it up, turn it down, whatever you want to do with your money. You can advertise as much as little, and stop, start whenever you want. Well, that was huge. Still to this day, that is huge. So anyway, I learned how to do that. I learned to think like a millionaire. I read a book. I was so bored. I wasn't bored. I was so busy, but I wanted to do something else to keep my mind, because I was sitting on the couch literally for 2 months. I couldn't just SEO all day, because you do your SEO for a few hours a day. I needed something else to do, and I'm telling you, daytime TV is not where it's at for me. So, and CNN, Fox News, whatever I was watching at the time, I can't watch the news that much either. So, Robert Kiyosaki is, that's how I've always said his name. I don't know how to really say his last name, but wrote this book, and what this book did for me, it's not so much, it's his story, but what it did for me is it got me thinking outside the business box. It was my first increment. I've always been a little bit different than most of my friends, just a little bit. I've always not been afraid to tell you the way it is, And it's funny how people are always kind of like, well, that Chad Murray, he'll tell me exactly how it is. And sometimes, it hurts, hurts people's feelings. It does this, it does that. But one thing no one ever says is that I didn't say anything untruthful. I said what was on the tip of my mind because that's generally the truth. What comes out of my mouth is almost always the truth. I'm not always right, but I'm telling you outside the business box of what I'm thinking. So anyway, when it comes to this, I learned clarity and confidence from this book. Good book to read. But I learned how to think like a millionaire. So to move on, marketing, one thing I did is I made up my own system of scheduling to where I could see it on the field it was a computer I carried around actually, but I started kind of going paperless before going paperless was even invented. But I learned the invoices, door hangers. Door hangers was huge, and I did whatever I could do for this big statement right here. What sell more than my competitors could offer? What could I do that my competitors didn't? Everybody, like if you're in pest control, everybody sprays for bugs. What do you do differently? What do you say differently? If you're a window washer, the object is clean windows, right? At the end of the day, you want to clean windows. Your customers want clean windows. But what makes you different? Why should I hire you? And it's not, here's one thing I've learned too. It's not about the money. Money is literally 5% of selling your business. It's really not. I told you earlier, or if I didn't, I will. I only sell chimney caps that only fit the entire top of the chimney. And I don't carry my guys don't carry chimney caps that can be just quickly installed. It has to fit the entire top. There's nobody else in the country doing that. Why? Because they can make the sale and get out of there, but they're not giving the client the better product. I have a full sheet metal shop that has up to 6, 7, 8 people working in it at all times, making chimney caps for everybody in my markets to custom fit their chimneys. Why? It's the better thing for the chimney. I don't offer the other thing. The only thing I'll offer, one that's that could have been carried on a truck, is if it's one that one of these custom ones wouldn't fit on. That's it. So anyway, what am I doing that can be better than my competitor? And that's what I thought about back then. And I literally sat down and did that. And so I started my own sales situation. What am I doing in my old service that I can make better in my new one? So I started taking pictures, before pictures. I would do my custom online calendar, like I told you, that my wife, would schedule my texts with. I made that. In Outlook, I went in the back end of Outlook and made a calendar that customize appointments and inspections and things like that. And I actually had an engineer that worked on Outlook who worked for Microsoft, came into one of my outlets at one time. It was probably like 2005, I don't remember, and saw the form I was filling out for his appointment. He's like, "Where did you get that?" I mean, he worked on this system. He said, "That is amazing." He said, "I said, I figured it out. I saw that you could do this, and I did this. I hired a guy to help me out, and boom, here we are." He goes, "I've never seen anyone that ever thought of that." And this is the guy that actually helped, deal with the ins and outs of making that product, Outlook. So anyway, I started cold calling neighbors when I was at my clients. I just literally started knocking on doors next door, whether I was in a hurry or not. And just said, "Hey, I just fixed over this Mrs. Chimney. You want me to look at yours, or I can schedule a time tomorrow to do it, blah, blah, blah." And, that's like sales 101, but it's so funny how nobody does it and how effective it is. It is literally one of the top things to teach your sales guys. At minimum, put a card on the door. They might have saw you there, but didn't come get a card, forgot the number. It is huge. So anyway, then I started keeping a list of everybody's emails. I was going to write a newsletter, never did, but I did an email discount offer for people, and boy, did that take off. So we'll talk about that. Hire me to be your coach, and I'll teach you a lot of my systems that helps with your sales, if sales is an issue for you. And so anyway, moving forward, 2004 and 2007, we just worked it. That's what I did, is I worked it. These years were fun. They're exciting for me and my family. I was able to come off the road, no longer be out in the field, no more climbing roofs. I was able to grow my business instead of my business working me. I went up to 20 employees at the time. You know, it was trouble sometimes, I'm not gonna tell you, but it was growing pains. But we grossed our first million, and we did that with a customer ticket average of less than $300. You do the math. That is a lot of clients. And so I learned to do a lot of clients, more than I probably at that time was doing double than the biggest client out there. You know, and I was a baby in the business still. And so, but, you know, I progress, and we go to 2008. My fourth daughter was born. And so we expanded to a second major market. We scaled from Dallas to Houston. The guy that's there is still there, doing a wonderful job. You know, I ended up getting certified in my field at that time, which not many people are certified in Dallas, Fort Worth. I am now the only certified master chimney technician in Dallas, Fort Worth. Um, and you know, I coach my own business if I didn't mention that earlier. But I do. I coach, and I've been coaching him now for 4 years, and I'll get into who and what all that means here in a second. So, anyway, we just expanded and we were working it. 2009 comes around. You know, we moved to 2 more markets. You know, now I'm in 5 major markets, and so then boom, bad things happen. It's things that you got to understand what's going to happen as you start getting bigger. You know, and everybody, you know, you know, I'm one of the biggest chimney companies in the country, probably the number 3 largest company. I might even be number 1, who knows? But the thing about it is, you know, you can only clean a chimney, you know, a good way or not a good way. There's only 2 ways, good or bad. But how do you run your business? How do you do everything else? Well, so you learn your systems. You learn this. Well, then when someone copies you, my wife used to always tell our kids, you know, when one was copying, you know, nan nanny boo boo, and the other person would go nan nanny boo boo, and you know, the other one would stop copying me, and all that stuff. My wife used to say, you know, copying someone else is a form of flattery. Well, it's not a form of flattery when you find out your non-compete is junk. And so that's one thing we'll talk about is your legalities, which we'll talk about here in a little bit too. But when you have a trusted employee and we invest all those aspects of that business into them, and the guy quits and then lied to you, you have a party for him, tells you he's going to work for a big box outlet, and the guy, all he's doing is taking everything he learned from you, which, by the way, when you hired him, he didn't have a clue what your industry was about at all, you know, and he copies everything from your website to your policies to everything, and boom, he's in business. It's heartbreaking. You got to learn. You know, entrepreneurs are generally, you know, we don't want confrontation. We want to help people. That's why we're in business. But when you have an employee that trusted, loving, you just love your employees, and they do that to you, it's just, it kills you. So you're gonna have that happen. You probably. The thing is, what we do is part of my process of coaching is the people are gonna get around the systems no matter what, but you're gonna have to have systems to try to prevent it. And so which we do have, and pretty good ones to tell you the truth now. But anyway, it's funny to tell you a story about this same first copycat guy. So my wife had gone into Target one day, and I was on a business call when we walked in, I dropped her off, was in the parking lot on the business call. Call ended up fairly quickly, so I started Googling. I always check and see where my competitors are, where I am on Google to make sure I haven't lost any space or saw if anyone else is in the market. Well, then all of a sudden, I saw this other chimney company that was in the market. Looked exactly like me. Another copycat, but this one, I didn't know this guy. So I called up my first copycat company and I said, hey, what's this? Who's this guy? He's like, yeah. He goes, can you believe the guy? You know, and and when he said that to me, can I believe that guy? I'm sitting there going, I can't believe you. And he said that to me. Yeah, it's funny. People. I mean, the guy literally put a knife in my back once, and then he has the nerve to say that. So anyway, it's one of those, as you see the red circles, it's one of these things you're going to learn. You know, you're going to have some thick skin at times. But anyway, and we did. So 2010-15 come, we worked it even more. So our 5th child was born. Yeah, number 5. There she is. And so, you know, we were humming, man. We built our business up to 50 employees. We actually Uh, closed a couple of the major markets because our big market, Dallas and Houston, were just going nuts and still are going nuts to this day. And so it's just been a great time. It's been going well. But as you notice, we still have some reds, so things happen. So in 2016, I was able to come off the road. I was grooming one of my best employees ever to be general manager, trained him on how to do that. I stepped out of day to day. I started coaching him, and I've coached a couple other businesses since, 3 or 4, and and through my coaching and leadership, we've been able to double our business revenue in only 3 years. So we had a pretty good business then, and now doing that, and we still have rapid. I think 2019 right now. We're at close to 30% sales growth. Last year was not a great year, but 2019 we're at 30% sales growth. Most people want 5, maybe 7% sales growth. So I know what to do. So here's my family, my wife, my second daughter at graduation, my oldest, and then my high school girl, middle school. So anyway, that's our family. But even through this, I'm off the road, things are going great, and boom, see this little red circle? The law. I have always wanted to help my employees make money. They make me money if I make them money. If I can make them more money, they make me more money. As an entrepreneur, I started to get a thriving business. I never actually knew how to properly pay people in various positions. I didn't really know. I didn't know where to go. Where did I go to find? Where do I pay sales guys? Where do I pay crew guys? I mean, I knew how to pay office girls and guys. I just how do I do a commission? Do I do this? Do I do a commission plus salary? Do I do a full commission? How do I do it legally? I had no idea. I bet you in 10 years I had 7 or 8 different payment plans for different people in different positions, and and all of it was better for them. Never as good for me because I wanted to keep good people. Long story short is, we ended up getting into a situation where lawyers got involved and it ended up not being that big of a deal. So like what I put in here, I've been through the lawsuits. I've been sued and I have sued. One thing you got to know about lawsuit is the first thing of being sued, and it's my biggest advice at first, day one, when you get served, is this big thing right here. Calm down. It's not going to be as big as you think it is. It ain't going to be that bad. And it never ends up being that bad. Now, I'm sure there are scenarios that it is, but my cases have never been that bad. Now it does put a big black cloud over your company when you have one of these employment type of deals, because are they opting to get in or out? This, that, the other. But the mainstay here is calm down. If you're an honest person and you are doing an honest mistake, it'll take care of itself. And so you'll fix it. You and your lawyer will do it. But I will help you. I will help you find out what you need to do to make sure your lawyer's doing it right for you and all that. So anyway, here's your one tip of coaching if you're an entrepreneur, listen to this. If you don't know if you're paying your people right, and even if you think you are, the FLSA for overtime, the DOL for everything else, that's where you go for guidance. And believe me, you might be shocked. I was. And so anyway, so we get into, what's this, 8 weeks. We'll do, okay, so what happened after 2016, things were humming, things were good. This was over. You know, I caught wind of my sales force in my major market was essentially using my trucks and starting their own business and doing stuff, bad things. So what do I did? I'll do anything for my business. I fired those people, a social media girl, let them go on their own way, let them go do their own thing. They were not ready. I didn't care. They were stealing my stuff and not doing what I needed them to do. And so I went out and I literally jumped in their truck for 8 weeks, and I was selling more than 50% when all four of those people combined were selling. Average chimney guy in a week sells 15 grand. I was selling 37,000 on average. My best week was 52,000. I did that straight for 8 weeks. I had a straight 2 week time of I sold every single client that I touched. Every single client bought within 24 hours of me selling them or showing up and showing them their stuff. So it was actually the best thing. Brought me back to remembering how to sell and market myself and help customers understand what they're getting. So anyway, side note, those ex-employees that were in business, they were not in business 6 weeks later. Anyway, moral of the story is is I'm all in when I need to be. Period. So that brings us up to 2019. I have learned a lot, especially from right here. Not to say I wasn't here. I was young, dumb, and ready to go. But right here, I really learned how to run a business. I really learned how to step out of a business. What does that mean to you? If I start coaching you, what am I going to be able to do for you? Well, I think outside the box, the business box, that is. Why do I do that? I always have. As a person, I've always done that. My friends have always said, I'm just a little bit, off the beating path. I do a little bit, something a little bit different. Well, I don't know why I think different, but I do. And I'm a problem solver, and sometimes I'm coming around the left end while you're thinking about, well, why is he going around the right end? Well, the left end, may have been longer, but at the end, it was the better way to go. I can help you with your marketing, search engines, field exposure, whatever. I can definitely take and evaluate what you got, implement a plan, and get you going. Network of sources to upgrade your business, systems. Help you, and it's where this doesn't cost you a ton of money. Systems, employee systems, all that kind of stuff. I've been through legal stuff. I've sued other people, you know, employee engagement and their rights, employee engagement meaning you got a bad apple, we'll deal, but you like him, we'll mold him, or we can't, we'll get rid of him. Sometimes you got to know when to cut the cord. That's something entrepreneurs just have a hard time with. Me especially, I've had times that I like a guy, but I keep him, but he's not the right guy for the position. You got to learn when to cut that cord. But sales, profit, loss management, I've been there. I've done it. This isn't a coach. I'm not. A lot of coaches out there, they've never actually been an entrepreneur. They've gone through college. They've gone up the ranks of some corporate position. They become a CEO if they're lucky, or a CFO, or COO, or whatever they've done. But they've never started, managed, launched, sold, and thrived in an entrepreneur business like I have. And I'm good at branding too. So in a nutshell, my experience can get you to further on what you need to do in your business. I don't just do small business, service business. I do other things, but main thing is I know how to psychology of your employees, psychology of you. I can help you with all the ins and outs of your business and where you want to go. Where do you want to be tomorrow? Where do you want to be next month, next year, and in 10 years and into the future? So anyway, this is Chad from Outside the Business Box. Thank you. Feel free to like this and have a great day, and God bless.